Over 300 million Americans have a fear of flying, but they're worrying about the wrong thing, because the most dangerous part of being on a plane isn't at 30,000 feet. It's here, on the ground. Ground time makes up less than 2% of the average flight, but it accounts for over half of all airplane disasters. Sure, modern aviation is a lot safer than it used to be, but as you'll soon see, 90 years of chaos, confusion, and catastrophe have shaped the face of modern runways, overhauled pilot communication, and designed the systems that keep us alive today. So, if it's not the flying that's most likely to go wrong now, what should we really be afraid of? To answer that, we need to understand where it all started. In the early 20th century, when aviation was taking off, runways as we know them didn't exist. Pilots landed in open fields or on beaches, and to find them they used maps, followed landmarks, and eyeballed the landing. But by World War I, bigger planes and concrete runways began to appear, and with them, new dangers. At first, crosswinds were the biggest threat in the sky, so runways were positioned using years of weather data. In the UK, where wind tends to come from the west, most runways are built to match. In places with more unpredictable conditions, they point in different directions and are used depending on which way the wind is blowing. But as aircraft got heavier, faster, and more crowded, accident rates began to surge, and each one uncovered a sobering lesson in runway safety. The first lesson came in 1935. A transcontinental and western air flight was en route from Los Angeles to Newark, New Jersey. As the pilot approached Kirksville, Missouri for a refueling stop, heavy fog and low clouds made spotting the runway impossible. Low on fuel, the pilot attempted an emergency landing in a nearby field. But just short, the plane clipped a tree and crashed. 5 of the 11 passengers died, including a U.S. senator. The accident caused national outrage and fast-tracked funding for better navigation and lighting infrastructure. The most important change introduced was the instrument landing system, technology that's become essential in modern aviation. ILS works by using intersecting radio signals to map a precise vertical and horizontal path to the runway, helping pilots to land safely even in the heaviest fog and rain. But poor visibility would remain a serious threat and soon lead to the deadliest crash in aviation history. At approximately 5:05 p.m. on the 27th of March 1977, a KLM 747, the largest passenger plane in the sky at the time, sat on the fog-covered runway of Tenerife's Los Rodeos airport, ready for takeoff. Earlier that day, a bomb exploded at Gran Canaria Airport, forcing dozens of flights to divert here, including a Pan Am 747, now taxiing on the same runway behind the KLM. But Los Rodeos wasn't built for this kind of traffic. With aircraft crowding the small airport, the taxiway had become a parking lot. Instead, planes had to taxi down the runway before taking off. But in the thick fog, no one could see a thing. The chaos combined with the poor visibility was a recipe for disaster.
The KLM 4805 is now ready to take off, and we're waiting for our agency clearance.
KLM 8705, you're clear to the Papa Beacon, climb to and maintain flight level 90. Right, and after takeoff, proceed with heading 040 until intercepting the 325 radial from Las Palmas de Oro.
Sure, we've been to the Papa Beacon. Right level 90, right there now, 040, setting the 325, and now and takeoff.
Okay. Okay, for takeoff, I will call you.
Market number 1736.
Papa Alpha 1736, report runway clear.
Okay, we'll report runway clear.
Thank you.
After completing pre-flight checks, the KLM crew began their takeoff run. It was a fatal mistake.
Yesterday, the averages caught up with the 747. 2 of them, both on charter flights, both on the ground, collided at Tenerife Airport in the Canary Islands. It was the worst disaster in aviation history.
The impact of the KLM slamming into the side of the Pan Am was horrific. The KLM was decimated, and all 248 people on board were killed instantly. On the Pan Am, only 61 of the 396 passengers survived. The total death toll, 583 people, still stands as one of the deadliest aviation accidents ever recorded. After this, authorities overhauled cockpit communication. Pilots were now required to repeat back instructions word for word. A new training philosophy was introduced too, encouraging open dialogue between junior and senior crew. But the disaster at Tenerife wouldn't be the end of planes crashing into one another on the runway. Far from it.
The accident at Tenerife affected everybody in aviation. It's always in the back of your mind that this could happen, that an airplane could inadvertently take off on a runway that's not clear.
And that's exactly what happened at Detroit in 1990. In heavy fog, a small Northwest DC-9 aircraft became disoriented and turned onto an active runway.
Northwest 1482, just to verify you are proceeding southbound on X-ray now, and you are across 927.
We're not sure. It's so foggy out here. We're completely stuck here.
Northwest 1482, you say you're on 21 center?
I believe we are. We're not sure.
Northwest 1482, Roger. If you're on 21 center, exit that runway immediately, sir.
But they weren't alone on the runway.
Northwest 29, match down at runway 3 center, wind 110 at 8. Clear for takeoff, turn right heading 040.
Right to 040, cleared for takeoff, runway 3 center, Northwest 299.
A much larger Northwest Boeing 727 was already accelerating down that same runway.
Northwest 299, aborting 3 center.
Northwest 299, roger, report.
And by the time the crew spotted the DC-9, it was too late.
Do you have any problem?
Affirmative, there's an aircraft on the runway and we struck his right wing.
The 727's right wing sliced the smaller plane in half.
It's a nasty day at the Detroit airport. Rain and fog and confusion. Confusion that ended with a collision and death.
8 people died. It was the worst runway incursion on U.S. soil in 2 decades. When investigators retraced the route, what they found was disturbing. Barely visible taxiway lines and directional signs that were small, dim, and inconsistently placed, making it hard to navigate. The findings led to another nationwide overhaul. Taxiways were repainted with high visibility markings, and large reflective signs were installed to clearly guide pilots even in bad weather. With better signage and clearer communication, it felt like progress was being made. But that didn't last long.
Safety board investigators believe there will be even more as airline traffic expands in the next decade, and that not enough is being done to control the traffic safely on the ground.
Just 2 months later, another disaster occurred. By the 1990s, LAX had become one of the busiest airports in the world, and it was only a matter of time before something went wrong.
The most close calls, Los Angeles International Airport. 33 near collisions over the last 4 years. That's 1 every month and a half.
On February 1st, 1991, a U.S. Air Boeing 737 was making its final approach into LAX. But at the same time, a smaller SkyWest Metroliner was already on the runway and awaiting takeoff clearance.
Scott 569, taxi position, or runway 24 left, traffic across downfield.
24 left position, hold Sky 569.
The tower controller had forgotten the Metroliner was still there and cleared the 737 to land on the same runway.
US Air 1493, to land runway 24 left.
To land 24 left, 1493.
As the 737 touched down, it slammed into the stationary plane.
What the hell?
Just approximately 3 hours ago, 2 planes collided on runway 24 left at Los Angeles International Airport.
The 737 crushed the Metroliner, dragging it down the runway before crashing into an abandoned building. All 12 people aboard the Metroliner were killed instantly. So were 23 passengers on the 737. Investigators found multiple factors at play, but the main cause was clear: air traffic control negligence. But this wouldn't be the last time this happened.
They had double-digit runway incursions and serious runway incursions almost every year, And in fact, in 2007, they actually had 21 runway incursions.
So the FAA stepped in with a system called runway status lights. This is a fully automated warning system. If a plane or vehicle is detected on the runway, bright red lights flash, alerting pilots immediately, without relying solely on a controller's verbal communication. The system was installed at LAX in 2009 and rolled out nationwide soon after. Runway incursions like what happened at LAX still occur, but these lights remain one of the most effective tools to prevent them today. But even with better communication, better lighting, and better awareness, none of this helped prevent the single biggest danger on airport runways. Because while crashes like the ones in Tenerife, Detroit, and Los Angeles are terrifying, they're neither the deadliest nor the most common. Runway excursions. When a plane overshoots or veers off the runway, make up 96% of all runway-related incidents, and nearly a quarter of all commercial aviation accidents, making it the most likely hazard you will experience on a plane. Plenty of attempts have been made to decrease the frequency and risk of runway excursions over the years. After a crash in 1967, grooved runways were added to drain water and improve traction. And another in 1984 led to EMOS systems being developed, a bed of crushable concrete at the end of runways that acts like quicksand, collapsing under a plane's weight to bring it to a stop. In 2015, it even became a law that all American runways must have a 1,000-foot safety buffer at each end, or an arresting system like an EMOS. Yet globally, adoption hasn't been as consistent. In many countries, the advised safety zone is just 780 feet, and a lot of airports don't even meet that minimum. Sadly, plenty of people have paid the price for the lack of adequate safety zones. When Jeju Air Flight 245's landing gear failed in December 2024, the aircraft skidded off the runway straight into a concrete wall. 179 of the 181 people on board died. The only two survivors were the cabin crew at the rear of the plane. Thankfully, most excursion incidents don't end like that. While they're the single most common runway incident, only 9% result in fatalities. As you can see, runways have come a long way, and even now they're still evolving. Lights, navigation systems, reflective markings, extended safety zones, and clearer cockpit communication. Every part of the system has been re-engineered to protect us. Today, we're flying more than ever. Air traffic has increased by 50% in just the last 2 decades, and yet, despite that rapid growth, aviation disasters have steadily declined. And although we don't have much control over what happens on the runway, we can choose where to sit. If you want to find out which seats are statistically proven to have the best survival rates, then you should take a look at this video right here.